Hello, everyone. This is Vincent Pacillo, host of the msuwma podcast. We have another amazing episode planned for you today. We recently had on Dr. John Delony. Dr. John is a best-selling author of the book Redefining Anxiety, mental health expert, and host of the Dr. John Delony Show. He has 2 PhDs and over 2 decades of experience in counseling, crisis response, and higher education. Dr. John's goal is to help you navigate tough decisions, improve your relationships, and believe you are worthy of being well. In today's conversation, we took a deep dive into talking about mental health and wellness, and I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to the msuwma podcast. I am here with Dr. John Delony of Ramsey Solutions. Dr. John, thanks for being here.
Dude, thanks, Vincent. I appreciate you, man. Vince, I'll call you, we'll call you Big V for this one.
I love it. Let's do it. So for people who don't know you, tell us a little about yourself and why you chose your career path.
Oh man, I'm still figuring out what my career path is, dude. I am a husband of almost 20 years, 19 years, and then I've got 2 little kids, and so I'm a dad. And my career started out in education. I was a high school teacher, and then I moved up to working with colleges and universities. And so I spent the better part of 2 decades working as a senior leader in multiple colleges, universities across Texas, and then Nashville and Tennessee. And then I was given a speech to a group of parents and students one day, to about 1,000 folks, and the executive VP of Ramsey Solutions was there, and she said, "I'm going to hire that guy." And so then started this wild process until I quit everything I knew and took a solid left turn in my life professionally and joined this crew as a talking about mental health and wellness and all facets of lives with leaders and everybody. Backing up a little bit, over the last 2 decades, I've spent a lot of time behind closed doors with students, their parents, community leaders, and then I partnered. I worked with the police for several years doing crisis response, like doing death notifications and showing up on really rough scenes. I've helped train SWAT teams before, all kind of stuff. The common thread is sitting with people when the wheels have just fallen off everything and helping people slowly start to take that next wobbly step into getting well. And hopefully we can move upstream and help people be prepared, not if, but when those moments actually happen.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So based on your years of experience, have you observed a connection between money and mental health?
Yeah, I think money is about access. It's about control. It is a inspirer of fear, and we live in a culture that is the engine that runs this machine is lack. You're missing something, and so you need to go buy a thing. And so the fuel that runs that is money, right?
Right.
So money sits at the root of all of our deepest insecurities. My friend Rachel Cruz here at Ramsey Solutions, we were having a conversation once, and it hit me like a lightning bolt, man. We have distilled down the question I'll just use the United States. That question of what are you worth? That's a dollar amount for us.
Right.
It's not about legacy, parents, grandparents, relationships, what kind of spiritual person. We say, hey, what are you worth? That's a number.
Yeah.
And our dollar amount is everything, the vacations we did or didn't go on, the school we went to or didn't go to, how much we've saved. It's just become this big neon flashing light of what did you do right or wrong in your life? And it's a dollar amount. And man, that's just, that is a recipe for mental and physiological disaster.
Right. Man, no, that's a really interesting perspective. And I kind of going off that. So when you were writing Redefining Anxiety, which is a fantastic book for anyone who hasn't read it. But yeah,
I like to sit in studios that look like my home, and I like to just have it right behind me.
Yeah, because why not?
I got real low self-esteem, so I like my own book looking over my shoulder at all times. Pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you think anxiety has been defined by society, and how do you redefine it?
I think at the end of the day, it's been defined as a deficiency. You're broken, and your brain or your body's broken, and we can fix it with medicine. And there's really no other alternative around that. And 99.999 times out of 100, and that's terrible statistics, right? It's not even a real percentage, but dude, anxiety is just an alarm system. It's just a signal. Most of our brains are working perfectly. We just don't like what they're telling us. And they're telling us that we're living lives that are not sustainable, that are lonely, that are burned out, that are exhausted. We're getting degrees that we can't afford, towards jobs that we don't even know what they are, or if they're even going to exist in 5 years. Our brain is telling us we're not okay, we're not safe, we're not connected.
Right.
And what the general society is telling us about anxiety is, if you have an alarm going off, your brain's busted, and it's always going to be that way, and we can help you manage it. And that's just wrong.
Yeah. And it's something you highlight in the book too is that if your body's sending you an alarm like that because of your anxiety, that means you're perfectly normal, right?
It's a good thing, man.
Yeah. So it's funny how when people like when that happens, people think if there's something wrong, but that's just normal, like that's just your brain being normal. So
we live in a culture that had, and I feel like I'm bagging on culture. I like it. Culture's good, man.
Yeah.
But we have pathologized, is the nerd word. We have made discomfort the enemy. If we're uncomfortable, or if we have a quote unquote negative emotion, we think we're busted, right?
Right.
And if you think about exercising, studying for a test, reading a hard book, having a challenging relationship that you grow from, we only get stronger and better and deeper when we have challenge. Yet we live in a society that, we go from a 72-degree house to a 72-degree car, 72-degree office or classroom, back to a car, back to home. And man, our bodies are falling apart because it's just one life on one big cushy cloud. And that's just not reality.
Now, can you actually kind of expand on that point about discomfort? Like why do you think that we need that more in comparison to like less?
It's the only way you grow, right? It's the only way that you can, our bodies are designed. It's an old Mandelbrot thing, but our bodies are designed. It craves fractals, right? And so when we think about sidewalks are awesome, and they smooth out the way we walk, and it limits all the tendon function and hip function and back. It makes things much smoother in the short term, and in the long run, we pay a price for it. Same with really comfortable shoes. Same with being able to curate our lives via social media, where everything's perfect and beautiful and kind. It's not real, is the challenge. And so same as having a 72. Our body needs heat exposure, needs cold exposure. It needs those valleys and those ups and downs. It's good. Just like a market corrects itself and everybody gets excited, then it really overcorrects itself, and it's the natural rhythm of things. Here's the best way I can say it is, whenever fall comes after summer, when winter shows up after summer, we don't say that summer's broken. We know that the natural flow of the world is warm season, cooler season, cold season. Everything shuts down and it grows deeper. And we have tried to stretch out summer on an eternal basis, right? And it's just not real.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's awesome. So, do you think people neglect to take care of their mental health? And why do you think that might be? And why?
Yeah, man, I've been on a kick lately. I don't even know. We need to now, because we've got to be really specific about what we're talking about.
Right.
But in my own writing and in my own thinking, my nerd conversations, I call them, I don't even know if 5 or 10 years from now we'll have a quote unquote mental health, because I think mental health and spiritual health and physical health and financial health, all that stuff is so interwoven together that you can't have really great mental health if you don't move your body and you fill it with garbage all day. And you can't have great financial health if you are not making good decisions and you're not able to have a community of people around you that you're bouncing ideas off. So it all works together. But to back up, man, we have seen mental health as a deficiency. You're broken, and nobody wants to work with, marry, date, hang out with somebody who's broken. And so we've and the breaks are inside of us, right? So you can't always see it, And so there's just been a premium put on keeping your mouth shut and smile and look like the person around you, and nobody will know, right? And we burn from the inside out, and then we just collapse, right? So I think now we're in a season where people are slowly starting to talk about it more and more and more.
Right. And what do you think has caused that? And like why do you think people are starting to talk about this more? Because like 10 years ago, this wasn't that big of a subject, right?
Yeah.
Like people weren't talking about it then as they were now.
I think there's 50 factors. One of the big ones, we did a big event here at Ramsey Solutions, and it hit me when I was outlining this, when I was putting this thing together for the event. If you lay the stock market graph down and you just look at it, and it's got that it's wiggly, and then it just shoots up, right? To the up and to the right. You can lay obesity statistics and heart disease and stroke and Alzheimer's statistics and people in jail. You can start laying all of these maladies that are in our society on top of that, and they all have very similar trajectories. And so I think there's a global recognition in our society that we're not okay. We've all made more money, and we've invented more money, and we've printed more money, and we've borrowed more money. There's more money circulating now than ever before.
Right.
We are not okay. And there's high suicide rates, high divorce rate, all the stuff, right? And was it 2019 or November 2020, before the world shut down, JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, released, dude, we are the average life expectancy in the United States went down for the third year in a row.
Wow.
This is the US, and we're dying younger, and they're calling it diseases of despair. They're long tail suicides. People are eating and drinking and lonelying themselves to death. And the inflammation and body responses is just slowly sucking the life out of all of us.
Right.
And so I think there's a recognition, hey, we're not okay. And then once some brave souls start talking about it out loud, I'm not okay. You see athletes, and you see famous people. You see moms and dads norming counseling, norming getting some help, norming like, I'm not doing okay. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I'm hurting. The more people talk about it, the more people kind of look around and go, oh, okay, me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a growing conversation that is both data driven, and some brave souls have just started speaking up.
Yeah. And by the way, like, that's why I really enjoy your show so much, is because like people are calling into the show, like just talking about super personal stuff a lot of the time. And like just these crazy situations, and it's cool to see that, like, if you're going through your own struggle in your life, I'm not the only person that's going at it alone. Like, there are other people who are like going through their own stuff that they have to work through, and
that idea, the nerd term for that is social norming. It's when you realize, oh, you're not okay, I'm not okay either.
Right.
Out, right?
Yeah.
There's an old quote, I forgot, maybe C.S. Lewis quote about a friend is somebody who looks at you and says, oh, you too? You know what I mean?
I love it.
And that's our life, right? And so I love that show, because the things people call about really out there things, but man, the more you dig into them, the more you realize, oh gosh, but for one or two things, I'm in that same situation. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, like, we are college students. We're about to begin our careers and discerning our careers and stuff like that, which is super cool. But what is something, and you've worked in universities and colleges, like you said before. So what is something that college students do that is often overlooked that contributes to poor mental health?
I would say the biggest, number one big neon red flashing light is they stop sleeping. Sleep is a cornerstone. It is a foundation of all physical health, mental health, relational health. Everything starts and ends with sleep. And if I could snap my fingers, college students would get sleep. And alcohol disrupts sleep. The flashing and screens disrupt sleep. Studying, trying to learn things to the last possible second, and then closing a book while your brain's still running and trying to sleep, that disrupts sleep. Poor relationships, being plugged, just dropped into a new community of people without your tribe with you, that disrupts sleep for a season. So everything is set up for a college student to have poor health, beginning with sleep. And then you throw in, mandatory cafeteria food, and all of the other, the debt, all those things begin to stack up on the uncertainty. All of that stuff begins to stack up on a college student, but I think it starts with sleep.
Yeah, because I mean, you and I both know this, but like the term like the all-nighter has been pretty normalized if you're a college student, like because like from like 12 to 5 a.m. just study, right?
So I remember, especially in my undergrad, but in my master's program too, here's what I would do, man. I loved my classes. I studied what I wanted to study.
Right.
But when there's an exam, I would take a nap at like 4 p.m. till like 6 or 7.
Right.
Then I'd grab dinner, and then I would get a spiral notebook. And then I would sit in a library. I'd sit anywhere. There was a 24-hour thing, and I would just start copying my notes over and over until the next day, and I would walk straight from there into the exam. So it was mushed in there. I would vomit it back out, almost rote memory, just brand. And then if you had given me that same test 4 hours later, I'd have none of it, right? I just literally copied my notes over and over and over until I could go. Then when I got to my doctoral program, when I was working through my second PhD, it wasn't about getting good grades. I really wanted to be good at sitting with somebody who was hurting. So I read that stuff early and often, and I practiced it, and I talked about it, and I learned it. And then I talked to people that I disagreed with a lot, and I practiced it some more. And then I watched other people, watched videos. And so when it came time to take a test, there wasn't a lot to do there. Maybe review something,
right.
But I had internalized it. So it was a difference between cramming it all up here so I could get a score and then learning it so I could go do the thing. And I think a lot of education from K-12 into college is about how do I get this grade, not how can I learn this thing. Accounting for you finance majors, man. All my buddies were accounting majors.
Right.
Dude, it was just how do you survive accounting 1 and accounting 2? It's just how do we cram this in, cram this out so that I can get out of this class because it's so awful. And then there's a few folks who actually learned accounting. And they said, hey, this is going to be the rest of my life. And I know that wherever I work is going to teach me their version of how they want this to work, but I need to learn how to do this. And man, but it came to test time, it wasn't that big a deal.
Right.
They knew it, right? So that's just a philosophical approach to it. But man, once you learn something versus just trying to cram it in there, it's a whole different world.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so when it comes to school, finances, and life, so when all of that gets really stressful, and especially like you said before, like a lot of that is just like kind of crammed together when you're in college. Like, so what can people do to still look after their mental health despite all those struggles?
I think first and foremost is you got to have a group of people that you can be open and honest with, and that will hold you accountable to. In college, you get a lot of your people who are like you, and it ends up being like a cheerleading squad for you. And it's like, dude, I'm going to go have 40 beers tonight. And they're like, yeah, bro, you go be you.
Right.
And you need somebody in your life that will go, that's really stupid. Don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so having a group of people that will both love you when they know your true self, when they really know you, they'll still love you. And they'll say, hey, that joke's not funny, dude. Don't say that. Or that's not cool, man. Or, hey, you've been dating that girl for a while. Treat her better because this isn't cool.
Right.
It will hold you accountable. And we all get leveled up when that happens. And so having relationships is important. Taking care of your physical body is super important. And then, man, stop just downloading all of this nonsense into your head all day long through scrolling social media and internets and the next, I don't know, Fortnite tournament or the next, it's okay to skip a Netflix series. It's just okay. Right. Start hiking. You know what I mean? I sound like 100-year-old man, I know, but there's something cool about unplugging from the have to be the hip and know it all's going on, and getting with a group of people who love you, you can be silly with, that will challenge you, you can cry with, who will be there when you're struggling, and you can be there when they're struggling, and you'll actually, learn the material you want to major in. And go see plays together. Just go experience life together in an authentic way, not in a curated way.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. No, I love that. So kind of moving on from that, and I love what you said about social media too, because a lot of times, for me personally, I feel like a lot of times I've done stuff like that because of like FOMO. And like, cause like I want to be part of the action. Like, oh, like I want to be like on social media like everyone else is and stuff like that. Like, not necessarily because I wanted to.
Dude,
So
listen, man. I did not have social media until I took this job.
really,
I had turned 40 before I got social media. And here's what's crazy. I spoke on it. I watched my students implode over the last decade as it's been rolled out in various forms.
right.
And then I found myself with my door shut in my house, my kids right on the other side of the wall. I'm teaching parents how to be present with their kids.
Right.
I'm in there just scrolling. And I remember going,
Right.
oh crap, it got me too, man. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
It is designed to keep you glued. That's just the way they made it. And so I've got it on a separate phone. I got to turn that phone off. I got to leave it in my car. Sometimes I leave it at the office.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got to go upstream because I can't control it. And I don't care what anybody says. Y'all can't either. Nobody listening to this can control it. It's designed so you can't. And just be humble about it. And then just say, cool, I'm going to take it off my phone then. Or I'm going to have to I got to go get it back. I got to log into it. I got to go through 42 different steps to check in on it. And it just keeps you off of it, man.
Yeah, exactly. Any other tips to like you said, like the separate phones thing, but if you don't have like a separate phone, like any other tips to like, if we want to get off social media or like just want to fast from it a little bit, just so we can focus on, quite frankly, more important things. Cause I feel like
you got to delete it, man.
Yeah.
You got to delete it. It's like if you're an alcoholic, you can't just keep a bag, like a bottle of Jack in your bag just in case. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't do that. You got to cut it off.
Right.
And same as me, dude. I'm a sugar addict. Like, dude, I love gummy candies, bro. And yes. I can't eat sugar in moderation. I can't. I've tried my whole life. I can't. And so I have to either park my wagon and go eat the entire bag, or I got to abstain from it. I just can't do it. And I think for many of us, just getting a pulse on how we are with social media, try to be off of it for 3 solid days. Delete it from your phone. And if you start grabbing your phone and jonesing for it, and you start feeling untethered and your heart's racing and you feel like you're out of the loop, that tells you you're not okay, man.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So kind of going off of that, what is some general advice you have for college students like us? Like, again, we're about to pursue our careers. We're going through classes, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, anything.
Here, man, this is bananas. This job I have right now did not exist when I was in college. The job I had before this, as the chief student affairs guy, the dean of students at Belmont University.
Right.
The job dean of students existed, but the way it was done did not exist when I was in college. I was a dean of students at a law school before that as a non-lawyer. That didn't exist when I was in college, right? The idea of a civilian doing work with police officers after hours, that didn't exist when I was in college. So all that to say is, do the things. Here's a crazy thing. People tell all college students all the time, follow your passion, follow your passion. I think that's insane advice. It's terrible. My passions when I was in college were idiotic. They were moronic, dude. I was so dumb. Here's the thing. You become passionate about what you're good at, and you become good at what you practice. And for most of us, you practice what you're made to do, right? That's why Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan had a nutritionist and a workout coach and a basketball coach and 2 assistant basketball coaches. Why? Because they're the best basketball minds in the world, and they still needed other people looking at different perspectives. So when I go into an English class and a teacher says, I want you to read this book, I can say, I don't need to read that book. That's stupid. Or I can think, I'm giving this teacher a whole bunch of money to walk me through an experience that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm going to take the journey. Right? That's what I signed up for.
Right.
And so I want college students to practice the art of practicing things that are hard. I want college students to slowly lean into things that they're good at, really try hard on things that they're terrible at. And then all of a sudden stuff starts falling off. But I'll tell you this, if you aim for a job, the chances of that job still existing in its current form in 20 years is almost zero. It's just not real.
Right.
So if you want to become a finance person, fall in love with how numbers work. Fall in love with the psychology of how people interact with their net worth and their legacy and their failures. and how poverty works and how wealth works and how tax works and the psychology of all the things that, fall in love with that. And there will always be a place for you at the table, because then you're going to become really good with people. You can become really good with watching trends and how numbers work. Does that make sense? Versus, I got to get this job at this firm. That firm's probably not going to exist in 20 years, man. So be in love with the thing. And then what you're going to find out is I really wanted to do finance. And then I started talking to finance people, and I fell in love with talking to people. And so then I went and got a graduate degree in counseling. And then suddenly does that make sense?
Yeah.
I got a PhD in higher ed. I wanted to be a president of a college. So in 2010, I got a PhD in higher education. On the way to that doctorate, I started meeting with a lot of college presidents, a lot of parents, a lot of students, a lot of whoever. Then I fell in love with being good at talking to people. So I got a second PhD in counseling, right? Mm-hmm. And I could have skipped my whole first PhD if I had really dug into trying to be good at something, not just trying to get some credentials so I could get some job to make some salary.
Right. Man, that is so awesome. That is so cool.
Does that make sense?
Yes. No, it does.
I feel like 100-year-old man, and then I had to go to, I was walking uphill both ways in the snow. That's what I sound like. But, yeah, man, be in love with the process.
Right. Yeah, no, that is so cool. And then because like you were saying before, like this job, this is a people business. Like we're dealing with people on a daily basis, like walking them through their budgets, walking them through their investments, all of that. Like you're pretty much the CFO of that family or the person.
Hey, and listen, in 20 years, my guess is, I'm making this up. My guess is, like, Alexa will be built into the wall of my house, and I'll say, Alexa, where do I move my mutual fund?
Right.
And it will move it for me.
Right.
So if your job is based on avoiding people and technical proficiency, you're gonna go away. If your job is, how do I help this mom and this single mom take care of her bills today, at the same time dream about what her kids' lives could look like in the future, now a computer can't change that. Right. That becomes about legacy. And if you don't like working with people, then this job may not be for you, man. Right. And that's okay. Be honest and be okay with yourself.
Mm-hmm. And kind of going off that too, like as advanced as technology can be, there's something about talking with a person one-on-one. Like there's that connection aspect. And
it's everything.
Yeah. So Dr. John, this was so great. I really appreciate all of your wisdom and everything like that. And I really enjoyed this a lot. So thanks.
Hey, thanks for letting me old man rant, dude.
Absolutely.
If you liked what you just heard, please like, comment, and share. MSUwma, or Michigan State University Wealth Management Association, is a student organization part of the Eli Broad College of Business located in East Lansing, Michigan. Our mission is to inspire and educate the next generation of financial planners. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please check out our channel on all platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcast. And check out our social media at MSUwma and msuwma.com.